Hi, my name is Deb Johnston, and welcome to Women Reinventing MidLife TV, where we aim to inspire women over 50 to thrive in a meaningful life that you deeply desire and deserve. Here you're going to find real life stories from women over 50 to inspire you to reinvent any aspect of your life, together with tips and content around mindset, wellness, and style to guide you to build confidence and vitality in your 50s, 60s, 70s, and beyond. And today I have a really special interview to share with you. And this particular interview was taken from the Women Reinventing Midlife Summit in 2021. I don't normally share publicly these summits. They're normally only available in a private membership. But this particular one I want to share with you because it's about beauty from the inside out. And I want to let you know before we get started that the Women Reinventing Midlife Summit is about to go live again for 2022 on the 25th of July, and you can register for free. So if you go to the description notes underneath this video, there will be a live link there where you can register for the summit for free, and I encourage you to do that. So let's get back to the interview today. It is with a very special guest. It's the gorgeous Sophie Uliano. Sophie is a New York Times bestselling author. She's a nutritionist, weight management specialist, and transformational mindset coach. And Sophie spent years crafting hundreds of healthy living TV segments for daytime and morning shows. She now runs her own coaching business, and she helps women over 40 to get healthy, lose unwanted pounds, and find their spark again. And Sophie, as I said, is going to be talking about beauty from the inside out. So we're going to be looking at what creates that beauty from the inside, and also looking at what we do with the outside of our body to maintain beauty at any age, most especially over 40, 50, 60, and beyond. So let's just pop on over and have a look at the interview. Sophie, I am so happy you've been able to join us. Welcome.
Thank you. I'm very happy to be here chatting with you.
I'm so glad that we've been able to make this happen.
Yeah, me too.
So glad. And I know that we're going to be talking about beauty from the inside out, and you're really passionate. I know that you're really passionate about women realizing that they don't have to settle for less, even after this certain age. What I would love you to start by sharing is a little bit about your transitional story, because I know that's how you got into nutrition, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
Mm.
Yes, it's so interesting. I think I love the way you frame it as nutrition, as sort of transition, because I think there are so many, particularly as you say, in this time of our life. I'm 56 now. There's so many different transitions that we make, and there are so many different transitions that I've made, and I think, like so many probably of your viewers and your listeners and guests that you have on, the transitions beautifully evolve. I sort of see it as almost being a growing. It's almost like an opening and an expanding, and that's really been my experience, rather than like a pivot of like I was doing one thing and now I'm going to pivot to do another. It's just my journey. I think, as is the case with most of us, we have something on our heart, which is our purpose, and it can take many different roads or routes or
Yeah.
routes, as we say in England, until it sort of, I believe, it's not until I got into my 50s that it sort of came to full fruition. So very briefly, my transition was that there's been a few, but I think that the most major transition was that I was writing about the environment, and I have a book. My first book, Gorgeously Green, came out, and it was on Oprah, and it was all like, yada yada, and suddenly it's like, oh my gosh, you've got a brand, and it's all green, and you're doing all this, that, the other, and that was just in a way the kind of jumping off point. I think that was my big awareness piece of like, oh my gosh, things aren't as they seem. And it was just a huge wake up call for me, in terms of it. What right back then, when my book first came out, in that book came out, my first book came out in 2008. There was very little awareness about what could be in your cosmetics, what could be in your food. Even, I mean, I remember being with Oprah on the stage, on her show, when I was teaching her and Julia Roberts how to do all these things. And I remember literally talking about the notion of there could be anything deleterious in our lipstick or our body lotion or our deodorant or our food was at that time kind of jaw to the floor. It was like, oh, and so we've come a long way. So that's what I got into first. Now, I think along the journey for me, it was just inescapable that I started talking to women more and more, and my community are generally women who are kind of around my age. They've sort of almost grown with me, as it were. And so I realized that women in their 40s, so let's say starting perimenopause, when your body starts to change, right?
Yeah.
And things can start to kind of break down then, and you can start gaining weight. That's when the first little signs of chronic disease might come into play, hormone, blah, blah, blah. And it just was like, this is my community, and there's a need here beyond just store your food in glass containers and don't use toxic lipsticks. There's a deep need for self-care, for how do we nourish the cells of our being so that we can be healthy, and so that we can actually be beautiful from the inside out. So that then led me to studying nutrition, going really deep into nutrition. The last probably 10 years have been my kind of knee deep in that space. And yeah, so that was the transition. And then that brought me full level to, I'd work on a sort of slightly more front-facing level with sort of YouTube videos and speaking and things like that. And then as time went on, and I'm sorry if my answer's too long for you, Deb, but I'll shut up.
Let's go.
It came full circle to, I think I realized the greatest impact that I could have was actually helping women on a sort of more personal level, which is why I coach now.
That's great. That and I love that it started with your journey too, didn't it?
Yes.
You actually living it before you started to write about it, before you studied it. It started with you living it.
100%. And I think, like so many of us, when we are inspired by something or turned on by something, all you want to do is share it with everybody else. And as a communicator, because in a past life, I was actually an actor in England. I was a theatre actress. So I've always had a love for communicating, which is really just communicating a story.
Yeah.
And so it's always been something that I love to do. So yes, you're absolutely right. I think I found what made a massive difference in my life, what turned me on, what had me find my spark, my vitality, the body that I wanted after the age of, turning 50, everything. And I'm like, I want to share this, and I want to communicate this way of life to women who are in this sort of age bracket.
I think when we're coaches, that tends to be what happens, isn't it? It's what ignites our passion is an experience that we've had ourselves, and it's so authentic when we do it that way as well. I love that. I really
100%. I could not, and I'm sure you feel the same way, but I couldn't I wouldn't really want to coach on anything that wasn't a part of my visceral experience of life, because it just, I don't know. I don't think I could. I don't think I want to, and I don't think I could.
Yeah, same. Yeah, same. And you look absolutely fantastic. So it obviously works from the inside out.
I try.
So what is it that, what is it that we often forget? Because a lot of us are just slathering stuff on our skin, right? We're just putting stuff on our faces, which is an important part, that we use the right beauty products. But what is it that a lot of women forget when they're focusing on?
I think, Deb, the bottom line is this. Let's just call it tight here, is that you can put anything on your face. The most expensive serums, creams, you name it. I've certainly researched it, at least here in North America. I've spent a lot of time doing YouTube videos and researching that, just because it's almost like a hobby for me. I love doing it. But the fact of the matter is that if you are not well from the inside out, that I mean that has many different meanings, by the way, because then your skin, is not going to look great, and you're not going to glow. So I mean it really on primarily two different levels. One is really, if we go really inside, the piece that changes everything, and I think switches the lights on, is the mindset piece and the psychology piece. And when that shifts, and when that connects to our when we are connected and aligned as women to our purpose and what's on our heart, and we're plugged into that, and we're given the tools to know that we can realize that, and suddenly you're alive and passionate and excited about your life. There's nothing more beautiful than a woman, to me, who walks into a room who is on purpose and curious and fascinated and alive and like, oh my gosh, with whatever it is that she is. To me, that is a beautiful, beautiful woman, regardless of what mascara she's wearing, or colored lipstick, or honestly, she could have roots in her hair down to here. And I would be like, oh my gosh, you know what it's like when you meet somebody at a party or a dinner, you're like, she's alive, she's on fire, and she's sure of herself as well. Or I should say, I think sometimes, I coach women to lose the kind of self-consciousness that we used to have when we were younger, of like, oh my gosh, am I looking okay? It's like, no, now it's like, I just am, and I'm loving my life. So that's the first part. And that cannot be ignored, because I think that trumps everything in terms of where I would go to first in terms of beauty.
Yeah.
Then we want to look at nutrition. So being a nutritionist, we can't live our best lives and feel vibrant and energized and all of those things to support that vision that we have, unless our nutrition is basically.
Yeah.
And so we said, I spent 10 years studying nutrition and really studying what is the gold standard of nutrition for both sustainable weight loss, because nobody just wants to come and suddenly lose an amount of weight, and it's harder as you get older and then put it all back on again. So we're really looking at the word sustainable as we get older, because there's a different story. What you could do in your 30s is not what you can do when you're in your 50s and 60s anymore. So I look for the nutrition that is the gold standard for sustainable weight loss and disease prevention, because frankly, obviously, I mean, not rocket science here, but a healthy woman who has a healthy microbiome, a healthy gut, a healthy liver where everything functions and detoxes every single day. We don't need crazy detox supplements. We just need a system that is well balanced and healthy. Then that's going to generate, beautiful cell turnover and glowing skin and clear eyes and thick hair and gorgeous nails and everything that we want. And then the very final pieces, you can go to the beauty store or go to Sephora or go buy your green beauty products, the icing on the cake, which I love, by the way, but it has to be in that order.
Yeah, I love that. And the mindset piece, I totally get it. I totally get it, that you're living your purpose and you're enjoying life. And also, the part of, looking in the mirror, if you're just looking in the mirror, looking for lines or telling yourself you're old, or that can have a negative effect on the way you look.
It can be terrible. Yeah. I'm going to tell you a story about that. So I do YouTube videos, right? I have a YouTube channel and I do lots of different kinds. I have a whole playlists on weight loss, which is fantastic. All the women who I've worked with who've, all their stories and everything. And then I have beauty ones where there are some that are DIY, some that are product reviews. And, and I've been on TV a lot. So anyway, one of my beauty videos that I did, I got this horrible comment underneath the video. And, obviously there are trolls everywhere. And I know that, for goodness sake, I've been on TV for the last 10 years. So I'm not, immune to people, there's a lot of haters out there.
Yeah.
Nonetheless, this one comment was like, oh, it was like a knife. And what this woman said was, she went, well, I think I was doing vitamin C serum, a DIY vitamin C serum, and talking about, brown spots on your face and all of that. And I said, and she said, well, your face looks not, okay, or whatever. Your skin on your face looks good, but your arms look really, really old and horrible. Right? Right? The point is, Deb, why I was horrified was it was true, right? It wasn't. It was, if I could have gone, oh, for God's sake, like troll, whatever, my arms are gorgeous, But prior to that, I mean, I'm a great believer in what we think is reflected back to us anyway, by the way. I'm not into all that. But the fact is, I've been a bit paranoid about my arms up to that going, oh, I mean, I've got good shaped arms. I work out like crazy. Hello, please, I've got to look at what's going on there. But nonetheless, it was just the skin. It was like a little crepey and whatever.
Oh, I know what you mean. Yeah.
So to your point, right, I literally spiraled. I couldn't get it out of my head. And I was like, oh. And then at the time, I was on TV like every other day doing all sorts of different segments, very up close. Like you can't control your lighting or angles because they control it, And they'd coming close and I'd be holding something and the camera. And I'd be like, oh, and I'd be like, and I'd go, hey, everybody. Or I'd never bend my arms because the creping was worse. Then I would be like, you know what? I'm going to start wearing not turtlenecks because it's hot here. I'm in Los Angeles, but like really cute little, because maybe it's my neck as well. Bloody hell. And I'm going to go I'm doing 3/4 sleeves from now on, long or 3/4. That's it. So anyway, to your point, what we think about ourselves, and it took me a while. I had to do a bit of work on that, a bit of inner work, and then eventually, as you can see now, I'm sleeveless and everything. And now I think where I am now with all of that is, look, I do the best that I can do. I believe that my skin looks really good for my age, and I take care of it like nobody's business. The serum's gone the arms now as well, by the way. But I have also had a tremendous amount of sun damage. I used to you're in Australia, when I was from probably the age of 12 to 30, I sunbathed with aluminum foil underneath me. We did sunbeds. We did olive oil, baby oil on our skin. We were anything. So I fried and damaged my skin for 20, 30 years of my life. So, but now, Deb, I'm kind of good with it. I'm like, whatever. I will be in shape. I will be healthy. And that there's a bit of crepey skin with sun damage. Who cares?
Yeah. I'm the same. I'm from the UK, so that was my focus. Was going out to Europe. The minute I got to Europe, I'd be on the beach with the oil on, with the coconut oil. Yeah,
we were obsessed, right? Go to Spain, go anywhere, because we're so starved of sun. But I think it's worse because living in Los Angeles, I never, ever, ever, my body never sees the sun here because it's sunny all the time. But certainly in England, you're right. When we got it, and burning your skin was great because it meant you'd go brown. Yeah. So it'd be like fantastic. I want to be like lobster peeling skin, fully burned so that it will turn into a tan.
It's amazing.
And then it was sunbeds in the winter. And those sunbeds back in the UK, and we're talking, again, I'm 56 now, were frightening. They were those archaic things. They were probably seriously dangerous. And my friend and I would go and pull the top bit down. So it was like a centimetre away from our face. And I remember my bestie and I going out, and we'd be on these side-by-side beds, and she'd go, Soph, I've got to get off. I'm overheating. I'm like about to pass out. So she'd get off, like, can't cool down, and then back under again. So
Yep, every Friday after work, I'd be at the sunbathe
yeah,
place. Yeah.
the tanning salon. Oh God. Anyway,
Oh, that's so funny. So, you, one of your passions about is about helping women realize that they don't have to settle for less. So, let's talk about the nutrition part, right? Let's talk about the nutrition part in this because, like, we've just talked about the damage that we've done to our skin. But I know, like you, I think I've got pretty good skin. And when I think about all that stuff that I did to my skin, but I do eat really healthy. So let's talk about the nutrition part. Like,
yeah,
just
yeah.
imagine a woman that hasn't eaten healthy up until this point.
Mhm.
Can she reverse it? Like, are there things that she
Yeah,
can do
you
to reverse it?
absolutely can. You
Yeah,
can. And look, here's the thing. Right now, I am actually drinking beautiful green tea, organic
yeah,
loose leaf green tea, which is actually incredible for sun damage and all sorts of different things. So I live on green tea and I happen to love it. So, mm, yes, you can. You can reverse. Women who come to me, Deb, they might have pre-diabetes, high cholesterol, a lot of health markers that
mm,
high blood sugars, triglycerides, and things. Most women have some kind of gut dysbiosis, which is imbalance in the gut microflora, and so everything needs to be addressed, brought back into balance. And then I think what is so powerful, and I'm so grateful to be able to do the work that I do, is by way of eating,
mm,
food being our medicine, you can, if you can reverse disease,
yeah,
then you can reverse a lot of things about your body. So if you, anybody who's listening or watching, says, gosh, has my ship sailed? I've
mm,
been sedentary for the last, whatever, and gained a lot of weight and everything's sort of not quite how I want it to be. I'm telling you, it doesn't have to be that way. Do not settle, ever settle. You can radically change the way that you look. Obviously, the way you feel, but you can radically change it. And nutrition is, aside from mindset, nutrition is a very, very powerful piece to begin with. Now, I will say, Deb, that the women that I work with, I know what it takes
yeah,
to get from A to B.
yeah,
And so, some women that I work with might already be, relatively healthy. They've been eating kind of quite healthy, clean, for want of a better word, for a few years. And then it's not quite such a big gear change. But a lot of the women I work with really, really haven't. And there's so much to unpack with that, because there's also sometimes the shame and guilt and feeling of failure around food. I've never been able to stick to a diet. I always fall off the wagon. So there's a lot. We just get rid of all that straight from the get-go. We get rid of all shame, blame, judgment. We don't do that at all, because there's a reason why, and it's not anybody's fault, but it's the way our brain is wired. It's the way our bodies have, evolved. Brain and body has evolved, that we do eat the way that we eat. And of course, then modern day food systems and our modern day food industry is not our best friend.
yeah,
And so, but it is a big gear change for a lot of women. And the way that I work is I don't sort of pussyfoot around it. So I'm not a kind of like, well, we're just going to just take little baby steps and da da da, because the women I work with want a result and they want it quickly. And I think part of the motivation and part of the excitement of this journey is being able to see a change
mm,
really quickly. I think what is soft pedaled to a lot of women, particularly of our age, is you just can go on the Mediterranean diet or cut back a little bit or don't drink so much wine or blah, blah, blah. And I think it's a band-aid, because it doesn't it doesn't deal with the real problem, the
yeah,
problem underneath the problem, and ultimately it's not going to give you the result that most women want, which is an optimal result, which is feeling great in your body, beautiful, lean, strong, gorgeous body, energy, and great digestion. You know, we all know what it feels like when your digestion feels great. You haven't got heartburn,
Mm,
you haven't got GERD, you haven't, just everything feels right.
mm.
And that, from that starting place, then you've got energy for days.
Yeah, 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 yeah. And great nutrition helps with all those digestive issues, doesn't it? It's
Oh,
yeah,
100%. You
yeah.
can't. That's obviously you've heard it before, but our
Mm,
microbiome,
mm,
our digestion, or a more scientific way, our microbiome in our gut,
mm.
but our digestive system really starting from our mouth and going all the way through. But that is the foundation of our beauty. Is the foundation of our health. It's the foundation of dialing down inflammation, and also it's the foundation of feeling good, because 95% of serotonin, the feel good chemical, is actually produced by our gut.
Yeah,
So if that's off, if there's something not right there, then you're going to suffer on so many different levels. Also, losing weight is much, much more difficult if there's inflammation and gut dysbiosis. So that's what we need to address first and foremost, is gut health.
and obviously there's a lot more to this. Like nutrition is a big subject. Um, are there some tips that you could give our viewers to start addressing their nutrition?
Yeah, I think one of the things that you want to do is I think the biggest tip, if I give you one tip, would be to increase the amount of fiber in your diet. Because, and it sounds very basic, but fiber is truly the missing nutrient. We're so obsessed in America, anyway, I think everywhere, in Australia and all over the world, with counting macros. And I'm just like, I go cross eyed with it. I'm like, seriously. Because it just doesn't work counting macros. Some people are obsessed with, proteins and carbs and getting this and that and other, and you don't need to count macros. But what is important, and I'm giving you this tip because it's such a simple one,
Yeah.
is if you're going to look at anything and think, am I getting enough? Don't make it protein, make it fiber. So rather than thinking, people are also protein obsessed. Am I getting enough protein? Like, I'm going to die if I don't get enough protein. And that's, all the doctors, I work with a lot of doctors and mentors. All my mentors are doctors. And most of them they teach doctors and researchers all over the world to teach their patients. Because, of course, most doctors have very little nutritional training.
Yeah.
But every single one of those doctors who are my mentors all say, we collectively, we've never seen anyone die from lack of protein,
Mm.
unless they are malnourished or have severe anorexia. So don't worry. Here's a tip for you, all you ladies out there, is don't worry about protein, but worry about fiber. How much you're getting. Most Americans have about 30 grams of fiber in their diet a day,
Mm.
30, maybe 40, and you want to look more towards 70 to 80 grams a day. And it's really, really important, because the fiber, which is obviously through fruits and vegetables, and a whole food plant-based diet, but when you're feeding your body this fiber, it does so many different things. But I'll just give you the top two reasons. One is because you want to proliferate the good bacteria in your gut, and the only way it can proliferate and multiply is by being fed. And it doesn't feed off fat and meat and dairy products. It feeds off plant-based fiber. So that's the number one reason. Number two reason, and this is very important, is that as we get older, as women, certainly menopause and postmenopause, it's very, very important that we I hate the word detox, but I'm going to say that we eliminate the excess estrogen, certainly in our blood, and so that we lower our risk of breast cancer, obviously. And so fiber is what you need.
Ah.
that's, you know, and also there are other things. You know, I get so nerdy and specialized about, you know, there are certain other things to prevent this and to prevent that and whatever. But just as a big, huge blanket statement tip, fiber.
Wow, that's incredible. I had no idea that that helps excrete excess estrogen. That's
Yeah,
amazing.
it
Yeah.
does. Because your excess estrogen, and many of us have excess estrogen in our blood, and it's dependent. It's there's no one size fits all, because if you ever get genetic testing done, and you have your gene mutations and whatnot tested, so, which I really think is a great thing to do, by the way. You have to go and see a functional doctor, which is a bit of a pain, and to go through all that. But if you went to a functional doctor and had one test done, it would be an interesting test, because they can test to see whether you have the gene SNP, the gene mutation, for how fast and well you metabolize estrogen. So some women in their 50s and 60s might metabolize it really well. Some women, and many women, really don't. I'm somebody who actually has the gene mutation who doesn't. So therefore, I know that I need to constantly be, and you know, you excrete it literally in the way that we, you know, get rid of everything else we don't need, through all of the other waste in our body. So it's really important. And there's other things, if you have that gene mutation, that you can take that can be really helpful too.
Oh, cool. I'm actually waiting for the results back for that metabolic test at the moment. So I'm going
Oh,
to be
that would be
really interested.
fascinating.
Yeah,
It's
I know.
so interesting.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So I know I'm looking at time, but I really want to ask you this before we finish. Skincare. What
Yes.
do you recommend people look out for with skincare?
All right, so we've gone from the inner to the outer. So
Yeah.
for the outer, I would say, look, certainly there are so many incredible brands now, beautiful, clean green. It is vital, and everyone who's watching, that you use skincare that doesn't have the chemicals in it, like the, you know, it's highly perfumed, the phthalates and things like that, because they absolutely will impact your endocrine system. And it's really interesting, because all the women that I work with, we have all their hormones tested, and the majority, 90% of women that I start working with, have their ratios are totally off, and it is 100% when we look into it, their skincare. So you must start using green, clean skincare. That's the number one piece. Now, once you get into that, there are so many great choices available. There are so many great brands. In terms of what to use, I would say ballpark, just basics. You want to have a really, really good vitamin C serum. It's got to be really fresh, efficacious, and maybe a good retinol. And then it's going to depend. And again, we could nerd out for 5 hours on skincare, but I might have to come back, Deb. But the one thing is that if anyone who's watching has really sensitive skin, like rosacea or something like that, then there's a vitamin C, a kind of vitamin C and a kind of retinol that you can use that is going to be way more gentle on your skin. And that's very important. And then if you have a little bit more of a kind of resilient skin like mine, I was going to say tough old skin like mine, then it can really take some punch. Then I'll go for full L-ascorbic acid, and that's very important. You know, certainly in the morning as a serum, face, neck, décolleté, and a retinol at night, and then sunscreen like there's no tomorrow. Wish I'd known that, right?
Yeah,
Deb?
I know. I know. We didn't know any of that, did we?
My daughter is 19, right? And we went away for a couple of days last week, and she was saying, Mum, I said, Lola, do you want to wear something? And she said, no. I have to have like 50 sunscreen, Mum. You don't understand. I've got like, she's 19. I'm like, Lola, and she's got this perfect alabaster skin. I'm like, oh, so jealous of you.
Yeah, that knowledge, once you have that knowledge and you can apply it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So important. Yeah, those active skincare, those clean active skincare are so great. Yeah.
They're fantastic, and they really can make a difference.
Yeah, really can. Sophie, wow, this conversation has been like action-packed. There's been so much information, and I trust that everyone watching has got their notebooks and pens with this as well, because there's been so much information. Thank you so much for today.
Thank you, and thank you for having me. Thanks, Deb.
And thank you for tuning in. I know that you would have gained some wonderful insights from that conversation, and you can connect with Sophie by going to the description notes underneath this video. So if you click on the description notes, there will be a link in there to Sophie's YouTube channel, Gorgeously Green, and there'll also be a link to her website. Now, if you found this video helpful, remember to give us a thumbs up and share it with your friends, because we can all benefit from sharing this kind of information. And if you'd like to hear more conversations like this or receive more tips and content around mindset, wellness, and style, remember to subscribe to this channel. So click that red button underneath the video and click the bell for notifications so you don't miss out. Thank you for joining us, and lots of love to you, and I'll connect with you again soon. Bye-bye.